are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Hey everyone, this is Jenny Earhart with the Southern Sisters Radio Show, the show for Southern women and the men who adore them. We love to chat every week about Southern culture, Southern food, hospitality, basically everything that makes up the Southern lifestyle. Join us this Saturday at noon and again on Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on AM 920 The Answer. I'm in Wynn's World and I love it.
Oh, yes, it's always amazing to have the one and only at Radio Griff back in the Wynn's World Studios in Buckhead, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, it's so great to be back. I've been MIA the past couple weeks, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how's little Dansby doing?
Little Dansby's great, and Big Brother Chipper is doing okay as well.
Now, is Big Brother's real name Larry, or is it actually Chipper?
I can't disclose that here in Wynn's World.
Yeah, we don't want to give away kids' names here. That's not a good idea. Besides Dansby, that is the name of your second.
Yes, and I'm not disclosing whether it's a boy or a girl because Dansby works both ways.
It does.
So you decide, or he or she will decide when she's 12.
We report, you decide. Well, we're going to report on the round one of the 2017 NFL Draft.
Holy smokes.
Dude, so much to talk about here in this limited time that we have. So let's get to it. Overall, what were some of the biggest storylines that you enjoyed last night?
Well, first off, I was following all of this on Twitter because I'm out at a Tom Petty concert. Talk about up in smoke. Holy smokes, right? I mean,
bet.
Oh, wow. But it was an incredible concert. So I'm following this draft on Twitter. And, going into it, it's like, it might just be kind of status quo. Some years it is like that. Everything just kind of goes how it's planned. Nothing too sexy happens. Kind of boring. This year, holy smokes, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Browns, smartly, they don't do the typical Browns thing. They drafted the best guy on the board. Most people think Myles Garrett. And then everything broke loose.
Yeah.
The Bears and the Niners. The Niners pull off one of the most incredible trades. So they swap picks, basically, and then the Bears also threw in like 12 other picks to move up one spot to get Mitchell Trubisky.
In your mind, as a Niners fan...
Yeah, I'm a Niners fan. Yeah.
Did you feel as if he was going to be taken by general manager John Lynch?
The Niners were not taking Trubisky.
Right.
So we're set with Brian Hoyer. He's our future.
I mean, he's the next Joe Montana.
Right. Well, he's our guy. We wanted this Solomon Thomas kid from Stanford the whole time.
Yeah.
So we were taking him at 2 or 3 no matter what. But somehow John Lynch poker-faced and convinced the Bears that he wanted Trubisky. So the Bears were like, oh no, that's our quarterback of the future. This guy who's only played 13 games in his NCAA career at UNC in the ACC. Terrible conference, terrible team. And they think this guy's their future after they just paid, $40-something million to Mike Glennon? What's going on? The Bears are now the Browns. What's going on?
And you got to wonder if they're going to start this Mitch Trubisky kid, which, by the way, he has a total of a baker's dozen starts in his college career. The sample size between him and a championship winner in Deshaun Watson, I don't understand that decision.
Watson, perfect fit. I know we're kind of getting off track. He goes to the Houston Texans at like pick 12 or something like that, or somewhere around there. He's probably he might be the best quarterback on their roster now. They have Brandon Weeden and Tom Savage and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's a winner. Those other two guys are bums. I see him being very similar to Dak Prescott last year for the Cowboys. I think we're going to have these two young quarterbacks in Texas, battling it out for years to come. I like it.
If I'm an NFL head coach or general manager, I think that I want my quarterback to know what a hard count is. And unfortunately for Chicago, they drafted a gentleman that doesn't exactly know what a hard count is. And here's the proof.
If you want to go on a hard count, what would you say? Hard 2. Let me hear it.
There you go. Hard 2, hard 2.
Blue 85! Blue 85! Set it! Blue 85! Blue 85! Set it!
And we're running play.
Now, if we go on a hard count, remember this. We go on a hard count, we're going to try to get them to jump off sides.
Right.
So it's blue 85. Blue 85. Set hut! Hut! We're just
do that
giving
twice?
Yeah, give them 2 huts, all right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, hey, gotcha, coach.
That makes me cringe.
I mean, these are the things, if you're Chicago, if you're the scouts, the people that are getting paid to research your future draft pick, which you mortgaged 2 third-round picks, and you're only moving up 1 spot in the draft, and you know the other team isn't even going in that general direction.
They must have not known. That's the thing. They must have been convinced, and that's where I think the Niners are the one who pulled this trade off, because they convinced the other teams so much, or at least they convinced the Bears that they were interested in Trubisky as well. And the Bears are like, oh no, that's our guy. We got to do whatever it takes to get him. I don't see it, man. I mean, he might turn out to be the next Aaron Rodgers, whatever, but I mean, God bless him if so. I don't see it right now.
What are some other storylines in the first round that you thought were captivating?
Okay, well, there's one quick one I'll get to. I saw this story after the fact. Graham Balls or something, whatever his name is, who the Broncos drafted, he had his baby with him, 4-month-old son. And he has a quote. He says, "My 4-month-old son's never going to forget this night."
He doesn't even know he's alive yet.
No, he doesn't know what's going on. It's like, well, all these lights, what's going on? This guy who the Broncos drafted, they didn't draft him for his smarts because his Wonderlic score, Wonderlic is out of 50 points. He scored a 9.
So let's do the math there.
My 17-month-old son or daughter, I'm not saying which, could score at least a 9 on the Wonderlic.
So I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but I do believe 9 out of 50 is less than 20%.
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
But hey, this guy's good at football, and he's a millionaire now. And guess what? His 4-month-old son's never going to forget that night.
No, he's getting braces early on.
Right?
Good for him.
But the other big story, especially here locally, if we're in Atlanta, their pick, Tack, I don't know his last name. I just know he had a picture of his dead grandma. Holy smokes.
I got to tell you, when I first saw this story, I had some preconceived notions because when you read the headline, it says Falcons draft pick drops the F-bomb. So you're thinking, how irresponsible of a decision is this? But then when you get the story about how important his grandmother was to him and raising him and the promise he made her to make it to D1, to get out of the hood and to get drafted, dude had, like you said, a picture of his grandmother.
And that wasn't just like a wallet-sized picture.
No, it was a portrait.
Did he have to check this? Or did he have to buy an airplane seat for this picture? I mean, it's a big picture. What's going on, man? You
got to wonder if he's going to have the picture on the field.
It needs to go everywhere he goes from now on.
Yeah, it's like every wrestler has a gimmick. Jake the Snake, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he has 2x4, and I think this
Tack,
kid,
dead grandma, whatever his last name is, that's his thing. I don't mean no disrespect. I mean that's what he is. That's what he's known for now, and also known for dropping the F-bomb on But like you said, I almost don't blame him in this situation.
Yeah,
because of the story, because of the emotion of the night. I mean, this dude he achieved his dream. We saw this guy achieve his dream on national TV. He's fired up.
Yeah, man.
And like other people have said, if he plays how he talks, all fired up and ready to go and ready to take out quarterbacks and running backs and whatever else, Falcons made themselves a heck of a pick.
Well, it's a fantastic pick. DeCarist McKinley, an outside linebacker from UCLA, and you don't really think of those Pac-12 as being like a defensive base because all these games that the Pac-12 plays are extremely high scoring, so you see a lot of offense. But to see this kid opposite of Vic Beasley, they're already calling them the bookends of death.
Yeah.
So really cool stuff. And we actually have the audio between him and Prime mixing it up at the draft.
I made a promise to her. Like I said, I was going to go D1. I was going to get out of Richmond. I was going to get out of Oakland. I was going to live my dreams, play the NFL. And I'm here, man. I completed the promise. That means every thing to me. Excuse my language. Man, find me later, man. Find me later, man. This means everything to me. Everything to me, man.
I want you to do something for me. I love your passion. I love your intensity. But let's harness it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It actually made me tear up a little bit because I know how important family is.
You getting soft?
I'm getting soft here in Wins World, man. I can understand where he's coming from. He came from nothing, and now he's going to be a professional athlete, and he doesn't have to worry about making ends, paying off his student loan if he has one. I'm sure he got a scholarship, but other than the F-bomb, it's a teachable moment. This goes to a greater theme here in Wins World, and that is athletes are not role models. So I don't expect Dansby, your unisex child or my child, baby Wens, to look up to athletes as people to emulate. This is a valuable lesson that I could instruct them on later on, that you can say anything you want in America, but everything you say has a consequence.
True.
And his consequence, he will be fined inevitably, but he's also won the hearts of the Atlanta Falcon faithful.
The brotherhood.
Rise up.
No, that's a very good point you make there. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, it's the parents' role to step in and be the role models and all that stuff. It's not, we shouldn't be pointing our children towards athletes to look up to.
I gotta say, speaking of storylines last night, I was so shocked that the corners, this is such a deep cornerback draft, they didn't start going before the wide receivers. We saw early on with the 5th pick, Corey Davis over Mike Williams.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising to me. I thought Mike Williams was going to be the first receiver taken, but no, Corey Davis.
For sure. Corey Davis, he has incredible speed. He's not as big as Mike Williams, but at the same time, he went at 5 to the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, another weapon for Mariota because he hasn't exactly been blessed with great wide receivers.
No, they were going to draft a receiver at that spot, and they did. They must think Corey Davis is a better fit for them. Maybe Mariota's he came from Oregon, kind of that speedy-ish offense we were talking about earlier, that Pac-12 style.
Yeah.
Maybe that kind of a receiver just fits better as opposed to a Mike Williams who's more of your traditional big-time receiver.
Right, a possession receiver.
Right.
But he has bear traps his hands. So if he's like 6'3" and a quarter, I think, and so those jump balls are gonna go to the side of Mike Williams there. I was really impressed with the early drafting. The Jaguars went early with a running back, Fournette, and usually running backs in the first round don't really pan out too well.
But that all changed last year.
It did.
Zeke Elliott, so now every other team's like, it worked for the Cowboys and Zeke.
We
so
found
maybe,
our Zeke.
Right. But Jags don't have the offensive line that the Cowboys have, so Fournette might be in for a world of hurt there down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, they found their own Ewok down there, so good for them. McCaffrey going to the Panthers. This is going to be an absolute thorn in the side for the Falcons, Saints, and Tampa Bay Bucks. This kid is a Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Absolutely wonderful. I was hoping he would slide to 14 where my Philadelphia Eagles picked, but he didn't, and I was extremely bummed because at this point, you had your top 2 wide receiver prospects off the board. Then McCaffrey goes because he can play running back and receiver. And then the very next pick by the Cincinnati Bengals, they take Mr. 4.2240, John Ross.
Yeah, great pickup by like you said, McCaffrey for the Panthers, and then Ross for the Bengals. They'll free up AJ Green some in Cincinnati, and then like Cam Newton plus McCaffrey. Stuff could happen there.
Big time.
Could get dangerous. The Panthers could be right back in the mix next year.
The next pick really shocked me. Kansas City moved up, and they took Patrick Mahomes from Texas A&M, but they did some trading to get here. And I'm wondering, they have Alex Smith for another 2 years. They have money tied up in him. They're quote-unquote committed to Alex Smith. But this pick inspires me because Andy Reid loves the deep ball, and he hasn't had that with Alex Smith. So you got to wonder.
This guy has an arm.
He might be moving on quicker than we all anticipate.
I think he's going to I think the goal is let Smith play 2 years, let little Pat Mahomes here, back him up, learn the system and everything, and then throw him in there in 2 years. And he's the guy. Andy Reid thinks he's the guy. He's got, as they say, a live arm. Means he can sling it around there pretty well.
And the first corner to go was the following pick for the Nolans Saints, Marshawn Lattimore, arguably the best corner in the draft. I was shocked that it took this long for somebody to take a corner. I thought a corner would be going in the top 10, but I guess not there. Also, really surprised that Deshaun Watson was not the first quarterback to go, not even the second quarterback to go, but the third to go to the Texans, as mentioned before by @RadioGriff. Going to the Texans, I like this pick.
I like it. I think it's a perfect fit. I was reading earlier in the week. They they worked out together, Texans and Deshaun, and they both liked each other. It's like, oh man, this could work out well. Bill O'Brien's a quarterback coach. That's his specialty, and he's going to be their quarterback. I think week 1. Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
That's my thinking. You're really going to start Tom Savage or Brandon Weeden over this guy? This guy's a winner.
Yeah, no doubt. And why not draft Michael Jordan if you have a chance?
Exactly, as Dabo would say.
As Dabo would say, and he has a direct line to the king, so why not? Hassan Reddick, this surprised me a little bit. Not that Arizona picked him because they're in dire need of linebacker help, but that a Temple guy goes in the first round. This is really cool because I'm a Philly guy.
Yeah.
It's just a side note. I really like it. And watching film on him, this dude is a beast. I'm interested to see. Of course, number 14, there's so much speculation. At this point, all of our wide receiver prospects were taken off. Christian McCaffrey is gone. What are we going to do? Are we going to draft Mixon in the first round? He's probably busy punching some girl in the face. So no, we went with Derek Barnett. And this guy, for those of you who are SEC fans, which is basically a religion in the South, so I expect people to know this, broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee in 3 years, got to 33 sacks, eclipsing Reggie White's 32. A perfect fit for Jim Schwartz's defensive schema in Philly. And this edge rush between him and Brandon Graham is going to be easily top 5 in the league this year.
Like you said, I think, these it's a unsexy, sexy pick. These aren't the picks that fans are going to get hyped up about necessarily.
Right.
But you hear, hey, this guy broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee.
Right.
Well, he must be pretty darn good then. So, and these are the kind of players that ultimately help you win championships. It's not drafting the flashy wide receiver necessarily, unless that's your absolute need. It's drafting, these core guys on the line. And no, I like this by your Eagles there.
A lot of us wanted Reuben Foster. That was
who my San Francisco 49ers got.
I was going to say with the last pick in the first round, was it
second
not?
to last?
Second to last pick.
They traded around and ended up at the 31st spot, and who was originally the Falcons spot, but they traded with the Seahawks. There's all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
And the Niners, Reuben Foster, many say, he had some issues in the combine, some drug test stuff. There's rumors that he might need another surgery on his rotator cuff. But they're saying when he's healthy, he could be, just as good as Myles Garrett and Solomon Thomas. So, good pick by the Niners. They came up with 2 quality defensive players just in the first round of the draft. And it seems like San Francisco, after 3 or 4 years of going through, the gym teacher as our head coach for a season, we had Chip Kelly, your boy Chip Kelly as the head coach. It seems like things are finally right on track there. We got Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, setting a new foundation there in San Francisco. And watch out for the Niners in a few years. I think, they're coming back, and I think they're going to be around for a while.
Absolutely. This new leadership, man, you have to be happy with John Lynch as your GM. I think it's such a fantastic move for them. And you got to bring the Niners back to prominence. They were such a staple back in the Merton Hanks days. They were always there. Mr. Turtleneck himself, man. Man, it was unbelievable. Those were the good old days for you guys, except for when the Eagles beat you 40-8. But that's another story. Marlon Humphrey, another strong Bama player. 2 Bama players back-to-back at 16 and 17. Humphrey, man, was supposed to be, again, one of the top 10 guys. But if this draft doesn't show us anything, it's that anything can happen on draft night. Again, Jonathan Allen, defensive line, Alabama, goes to Washington, which I don't like because they're a division rival to my Birds. But we'll see how that pans out. O.J. Howard, 19. This guy was supposed to be in the top 10 easily.
Good pickup for the Bucs. I think the Tampa Bay Bucs are doing things right, and watch out for them in the NFC South this year. I know it's not prediction time quite yet. It's only April or May almost. Tampa Bay, man, watch out.
Right.
I think they could maybe steal that NFC South.
Why not?
He seems to have a different winner every year, pretty much.
Yeah, this guy doesn't seem to have any downfalls. No trouble with the law, no injury bugs, anything like that. Plus, he's a massive target. And now you have, for Jameis Winston, a big target down the middle of the field that'll hold on to the ball. And this opens up the running game. It's going to open up the passing game as well. And there's nothing like a solid tight end for a young quarterback to fall back on.
Right. No, you're dead on that.
This is one of the picks that I really thought was interesting, just because I love his name, Taco Charlton. What a cool name. Obviously, that's not his real first name. It's like Vernius or something. I can't remember. But, he's going to the Cowboys, which I hate, but good for them. Dude, okay, so this next pick, and I know we're wrapping it up here soon, but this next pick, Njoku, the film on this kid is incredible, and I feel so bad that he's in Cleveland now.
A good pick, though, by Cleveland. I'm kind of proud of them for not going the Mitchell Trubisky route, picking some quality guys in the first round, maybe slowly getting back on track there. They still have to figure out the quarterback situation, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe they're finally figuring it out there in Cleveland.
Yeah, you think so. I mean, I think they have 10 second-round picks, 13 third-round picks.
Something like that.
I think they're just going to rebuild. They were one of the youngest teams last year. I think Cleveland, before Jesus comes back, will win a Super Bowl.
Whoa. Whoa.
I mean, I'm not a date and time kind of guy, but I'm just saying the way they've been building the last few years. TJ Watt, JJ's little brother, something about, the initials with this family. They just go JJ, TJ.
Yeah.
I wonder what the next one's going to be.
What do the J's stand for? Who knows?
It's just a J. we don't get complicated here in Wens World. But the Pittsburgh, the Steel Curtain rebuilding their defense. And again, the film on this kid, he's like JJ 2.0.
Right.
He's a go-getter.
Great pickup for the Steelers. I think that could be dangerous.
The aforementioned Niners at Radio Griff's Spirit Squad, picking Mr. Anger himself, Reuben Foster. Man, everybody in Philly wanted this kid, and they were going to call him Jeremiah Trotter 2.0. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Jeremiah Trotter, check out his reel on YouTube. This kid was a monster. He was a ferocious lion looking to eat the quarterback. I'm interested to see. This is a good gamble at 31. I think this kid's going to pan out in the long run if he doesn't have more cloudy pee. But, it's all of this is so early. You just never know how these kids are going to pan out. And the least sexy pick when you get a tackle in the first round. But the Saints, they need help on the offensive line. That was one of the thorns in their side last year. So good for them and good for this kid from Wisconsin.
Got to help out AP.
Yeah, AP, and that's a great pick. And that makes AP, sweat a little less next season because he is 87. So he needs all the help he can with that blocking scheme in Nollins. So there it is, the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft. And, of course, we're going to check back with that Radio Griff, and we're looking to see how all of this shapes out as we move toward the summer and into the fall. So
we just talked NFL Draft, and so hopefully in the coming weeks, there's so much other sports stuff going on we need to jump on.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of wild and crazy that's going on right now. So I look forward to jumping back into Wens World to talk about some of that here in the future.
Absolutely. A little Major League Baseball.
Baseball action, the so exciting NBA playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Like a snooze fest. Goodness gracious.
But Radio Griff, as always, is fantastic to have you here in the world of Wens, and always a blessing to have you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right. Hey, it's your friendly voice of Atlanta Traffic, Chris Monroe, on Twitter at Atlanta Traffic. And check out the work I'm doing with my foundation, the Gift of Music Foundation. giftofmusic.org. That's giftofmusic.org.
Now is the perfect time to grab a beer or two and hit the head. Wens World returns in just a few.
Hey everyone, this is Jenny Earhart with the Southern Sisters Radio Show, the show for Southern women and the men who adore them. We love to chat every week about Southern culture, Southern food, hospitality, basically everything that makes up the Southern lifestyle. Join us this Saturday at noon and again on Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on AM 920 The Answer. I'm in Wens World and I love it.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
It's your friendly voice of Atlanta Traffic, Chris Monroe, and you are in Wens World. The Meanderings of Monroe.
Right here in Wens World, the Meanderings of Monroe shall commence.
You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, we often do these segments after a long week, and I come in here to the Winds compound, which is a beautiful studio, which is lots of modern. You've done a lot of technology upgrades in here, and it's pretty amazing.
So what's been going on with your meanderings as of late? I haven't seen you on the news. So
well, I've managed to stay out of jail and out of the news and just keeping my head down, doing my thing. To me, one of the things I was thinking about the other day is. My dad always told me that life would, as you got older, time would go faster. And when you're like 15, you don't care because you know everything. But dude, I'm 44 now, and I mean, like it's Friday now. I just feel like it should be Tuesday and not Friday. Talking to somebody the other night, and they were like maybe 20 years older than me, and they were going, "Yeah, life goes really fast." I said, "Man, does it start to go faster?" And he said, "Yeah."
Wow,
that scares me.
Yeah, that is a scary thing, especially when time's running out. You want it to slow down at the end, not speed up.
That's true. That's true. But it's like a roll of toilet paper, man.
You think you got more than you have.
It's like that triple roll, bro. And you think, oh, I'm okay. I get about halfway, it starts really rolling, and then you get down to there and you think you got, just a little bit, and like 3 rolls and it's gone. You're down to the cardboard core.
The Charmin bears don't approve. By the way, am I the only one that, speaking of meanderings,
there you go,
this is probably where we'll go with this.
See?
Is those commercials with those bears and their toilet paper? First of all, their bears are red, which I've never seen a red bear in my life. I suppose it's possible they exist, and if you use your imagination, sure.
Enjoy the go.
Like the blue duck from Billy Madison.
Yeah,
I've never seen a blue duck. I really wanted to see a blue duck. But the idea of a bear wiping his or her rear end on TV, like it's so like for a radio commercial, I can kind of see it because you're kind of left to your own devices. But you're just giving it all to me, and I can only imagine when I see these giant dogs walking down the street with their owners, which the dogs more of the time than not own them. They walk the person down the street. I just think of the pile that they create. And then, so you add 300 pounds or more with a bear, you talk about a roll of toilet paper. They probably need a 12-pack per sitting.
Yeah, right.
And then it gets stuck in their fur.
Well, yeah, exactly. And they showed one of the commercials with like little pieces stuck in his fur back there. I'm like, I don't want to see that.
Ew.
I don't want to see the blue liquid, okay, showing the absorbency of a product.
Of a diaper.
Of anything. A feminine product. Okay,
right. Well, I can't wait to talk next week. We'll meander some more and
we'll
possibly
meander, fan the flames, grind the gears, do a little traffic watch. It's all here. You never know what you're going to get, but it's going to be powerful.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Carr with Reasons to Believe, and I believe that One's World makes the world more believable.
Yes, we all know the health benefits of eating spinach leaves, heavy in vitamins and fiber, but there's more, and with that more comes our favorite doctor from Reasons to Believe, Dr. Jeff Zweerink, along with Dr. Fuzzrana. I don't want to hurt feelings here in One's World. But Dr. Zweerink is going to help us figure this out. Dr. Zweerink, researchers are turning spinach leaves into beating heart tissue.
Well, I know for my kids, they'll be really happy because I think if they never ate spinach again, they'd be happy. But no, this is one of those cool things. I don't know whether I'm just weird like this or not, but when I walk down a street or go out and do things, very often I'll grab a leaf and I'll sit there and try and rip the leaf apart. My first goal was just to get the nice stem, the big long stem that goes down through the leaf, to keep that intact and get rid of all the leaf material. But what's really hard to do about that is there's all these little veins and vessels that come off the side of it. And so that's actually what these researchers are trying to get a hold of, is to get rid of all of the plant cellular material and just end up with that vessel structure. Because when you're making tissues, it's actually really hard to get vessels of those sizes and of that complexity so that you can actually transport fluids through the tissues. And so they're actually using these spinach leaves to get the vascular structure, all the tubes in there, so that they can transport fluid through them.
And so if I'm not mistaken, what they're doing is using red dye to show how the fluid is moving throughout the spinach leaf, right?
Right. Well, and so they've got two things they've got to deal with there. One is that when you've got the leaf there, it's got a whole bunch of plant cells on it. And so if you're wanting to make a heart graft or something like that, you got to get rid of all the plant cells. And so they basically inject a detergent through the vascular structure of the leaf, and it just slowly eats away all of the plant cells, and you're just left with the collagen, which is what forms all the structure there. And then the cool part is, so now you can inject blood or red dye or various things through there that would mimic blood, and see that it actually flows through there. But then they can also now put kind of the equivalent of heart cells, the things that cause the heart to beat, or to beat and to pump blood through the cells. They can culture those on top of and inside of the vascular structure and actually get the fluid to flow through all of the different openings in there. And so it's getting rid of all the plant cells and putting in these new cells, which is part of what I find really fascinating.
It seems like one of these abstract experiments that's probably light years away from practical use here in society. But how close are they to using this on an everyday basis?
I've tried to get a sense of that, and I think right now this is just proof of principle. Is can we actually get rid of all the old cells, use the vascular structure, because this is something we cannot build. Right. I mean, we, even with all our fancy 3D printing and everything like that, you just can't put together that structure like just readily occurs in plants. And then the cool thing about it is it's just really cheap. I mean, spinach grows lots of places. We can get spinach almost anywhere, and other kinds of leaves as well. So I don't think this is, going to be used in grass next year or maybe even 2 years down the road. But it's shown that they can actually do it, and so now they can start beginning to see if can they construct tissues that would actually work in good grass, because that's something that they haven't been able to do yet. So I'm guessing probably somewhere within the 5 to 10 year range is where this, if it works, would actually become maybe more commonplace.
That's so uncanny. In case you're just joining us, we are with astrophysicist Dr. Jeff Zweerink. He's a research scholar and executive director of online learning at Reasons to Believe. Reasons.org is where they're found online. Jeff connects the dots between science and scripture. So how did they get this idea? What inspired them to try spinach leaves?
Well, according to one of the articles I read, they were sitting around lunch eating one day, and that's what provided the inspiration. And that really doesn't surprise me at all, because if you're sitting there looking at a problem, people have been looking at this problem of growing large grafts or material that can be grafted into a human heart or a liver or any sort, maybe into a blood vessel. And the problem in doing that, again, is getting the intricate structure that allows the fluids to flow and disperse the nutrients and remove the waste. And that's something, again, that virtually all life here on Earth, or at least any advanced life, multicellular life, not just bacteria, does very efficiently. And so it's, like I said, you can think, well, maybe we could 3D print this, but just to get down to the sizes, we don't have the resolution on the printers, and the materials are very expensive. But you look at that leaf there and you say, wait, there's quite a system of passageways built into this. Maybe we could so I could see where that inspiration would come. But I think it's just kind of funny that, they're sitting down at lunch one day and looked at their salad and thought, hey, maybe this would work. So,
I've been trying to find inspiration in my chicken nuggets for years, and I still haven't come across any groundbreaking, mind-blowing ideas. Do you have any recommendations for me?
I think chicken nuggets are really just meant to be eaten, and that's really all they're good for. I don't know. I don't know whoever thought up the idea of chicken nuggets, but I know it's one that's a big hit in my family. So, but I do have to say those are those things where very often I will be sitting around working on a project, a problem, and it's been sitting there stewing in my head, and I'll see something on a movie or see something or have a conversation. It's like, oh, wait, maybe that might work, and then I'll go off and try it. And, there's a fair bit of times where it doesn't work, but it's always neat when one of those ideas actually does play out and ends up solving a problem.
And it's always neat to talk to our research scholars at Reasons to Believe. Connect with them on Twitter at RTB_official. And, of course, you can connect with Dr. Jeff Zweerink on Twitter at RTB_JZWEERINK. Dr. Zweerink, always great to have you here in Wayne's World. I'll continue eating my spinach if you'll promise to do the same.
Okay, I will do that, Joey. Thanks for the time. It's good to be here today.
Hey, y'all, this is your Southern sister, Jenny Earhart, with the Southern Sisters Radio Show. I would love to connect with you on Facebook. Check us out at Southern Sisters with Jenny Earhart and online at southernsistershome.com. I'm in Wayne's World, and I love it.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Wrestling is so fake, Joey.
It's still real to me, damn it.
This is your male soap opera moment.
Oh, it is the male soap opera moment, and I am not alone here in Wins World. I have the one, the only, the wrestling encyclopedia himself, Mr. Vincent J. Bucci.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Booch is here, wrestling mind and all. It never sleeps, so it's got a lot to say.
And we have Mrs. Rags to Riches, the Robot Raggy, in studio, special appearance with the Belle of Life.
I am here, and I came back before SummerSlam.
Yes, she did.
Yes!
She couldn't get enough because, of course, ladies and gents, Payback is this Sunday. Vengeance will be served. And you know what they say? Revenge
Is mine, said the Lord.
I guess that. But also, revenge is a dish better served chili. But let's get to it. Let's get predictions from Rags to Riches, Raggy, and the Booch. Let's start from the beginning. Of course, we'll have a Payback kickoff match as Enzo and Big Cass face off against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, better known as The Club. Vinny, Bucci, what saith youeth?
Well, the best... I'm pretty sure Enzo and Cass are probably going to win this one since Gallows and Anderson cheated to win the last time they fought. But like I've always said, the kickoff match is just there. So I don't really, I think Enzo and Cass is going to win, but I won't be too depressed if they don't.
Rags to Riches, Raggy?
I'm going to go with the Club.
Okay, why?
Because they always beat Enzo and Cass.
It's a good reason.
That's all I got.
Although Enzo did suffer an injury, he will be good to go. It's okay. He will be good to go. Shamso, don't make a big deal about the phone ringing.
He had his phone on, and you told me, don't you turn your phone on.
When did I say that? Vinny, have you ever heard me say that to her?
No.
Before the Booch.
That was his bell of life. You have your bell, and he has his bell of life. Yeah. All right, let's get back to business here. WWE Payback, we covered the kickoff match nobody cares about. So let's start out with the big guns as Roman Reigns takes on Braun Strowman. Vinny Bucci, what saith youeth?
I honestly think that Braun Strowman is winning this one. I think they've done a hell of a job building him up for this match. And obviously, I think they're trying to groom Braun Strowman to be the next credible opponent for Brock Lesnar when it comes time for him to defend the Universal Championship. So I think he's going to get the win. The only thing that surprises me is the fact that I thought this would have been like an ambulance match between them.
That would have been cool.
I think there needs to be a gimmick in there so that when Braun Strowman wins, it doesn't kill the momentum that Roman has had since WrestleMania.
Yeah, at least a no DQ match would be appropriate for these two mixing it up.
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of cheap win for Braun.
Right. Shamso, what saith youeth?
I saith that I think that Roman Reigns is going to win.
You always say that.
I know. I like Roman Reigns.
You're such a mark.
I'm sorry.
That's
all
right.
To be different.
There's one in every
crowd.
crowd.
A circle in a room full of squares.
Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, I'm going to go with Strowman also. He's been pushed really well on the Raw brand. I think that continues through Sunday night at Payback. Braun.
I'm not through with you yet.
The House of Horrors match as WWE Champion Randy Orton takes on Bray Wyatt.
Wait, why are they on a payback match? I thought they were on a different brand. Well, Randy Orton's on a different brand.
Yeah, but Bray, for the time being, is bouncing back and forth.
I can't deal with this.
Well, deal with it. I want your prediction. Who's going to win? And also,
Randy Orton's going to win.
Randy Orton would say with you.
I think Bray Wyatt's going to win this one, and the reason I think that is because they got Bray on the Raw roster now, but also they recently changed it where now it's a non-title match between them. The WWE title is not on the line, and I think that, as I mentioned before, this is more of a positive for Bray than anything, because now they can have Bray win the match, Randy Orton can keep the title and do his thing with Jinder Mahal. So I think that Bray's going to come out on top.
But didn't Jinder steal the belt?
He stole it with help from the Bali brothers, but it should return in time for Backlash, definitely, the SmackDown pay-per-view, which is quite appropriate because of the fact that this is a no-title match between Bray and Randy. I definitely think that Bray Wyatt wins this match just because of that mere fact. But the House of Horrors match, I gotta wonder if this is going to be a match that's recorded remotely, like a kind of part of a fun house or something, because it doesn't seem like the way it's been described by Bray in his in-ring promos, this is going to be actually within the squared circle. What do you guys think?
It's definitely got a broken universe kind of feel to it.
Right.
I think this is going to be a final deletion, delete or decay, apocalypto. That's for anybody out there that listens to watches TNA. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's going to have that kind of vibe to it. Like, if I was Vince, I would just put Matt in charge of the House of Horrors filming, because he did a hell of a job with that in TNA.
What do you think, Shamso?
I don't know, because I don't care, because I didn't watch SmackDown this week.
Okay, Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe.
Wow. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I want to say Rollins, just because since he already slayed the King, he beat Triple H. So I think they're going to keep Seth on that momentum, and I think Samoa Joe is going to win. Seth Rollins is going to win. Sorry.
Seth Rollins?
I got Seth as well.
You
and
got
I have
Seth as
Dean,
well.
because I don't know if Dean's fighting as well.
Is your to-go salmon ready at Brio? You got to go pick it up?
I do.
Got to pick it up. Bell of Life. Adios, Shamso and the Bell of Life.
At SummerSlam.
At SummerSlam. Only a few months away here in When's World from SummerSlam. You know what? This is a really tough one. I think this is going to be one of the better matches at Payback. I'm going to go with Rollins. I think that the momentum should be swinging his way because of the recent turn on the platform. I think his endearment to the fans is going to be a catalyst for a victory at Payback Sunday night on the WWE Network, which, by the way, you can have for only $9.99. Of course, the newly refined United States Championship will be on the line as the face of America, Kevin Owens, takes on Y2J, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, Chris Jericho.
I'm going with Kevin Owens on this one, just for the simple fact that they're obviously building a match between him and AJ Styles very soon. So, because obviously Styles is the next contender for the U.S. Championship, and also with Jericho soon to go back on the road with Fozzy in May, actually this coming May. It just makes sense that Kevin Owens would keep the belt.
Totally, and because also of the recent kind of, I wouldn't say turn, but new gimmick as the new face, the face of America, the face of the new United States Championship belt.
Yeah.
Why not have him hold on to that gold for just a little while longer?
Absolutely.
You know, it makes absolute sense. And that's some backstage information, which you will only get from the Booch here in When's World. That's why we call him the Wrestling Encyclopedia.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. Raw Tag Team Championship belts on the line as the aforementioned Hardy Boys, that being Matt Hardy and his brother Jeff, take on Sheamus and Cesaro. And I got to tell you, Booch, I'm very excited about this match, only given the diplomacy that's taken place between these two tag teams.
Absolutely. These guys are definitely going to, their two tag teams are definitely going to lay it all on the line and, definitely put on a heck of a match. But I know we're going to see a straight up fight between them.
Yeah.
I don't expect any trickery to go on in this match unless they really want to shock everyone. But my money's on the Hardys. I think the Hardys are holding on to these belts, and I think they're going to be champs for a while, so I'm going with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just came back last month at WrestleMania, came back strong, won the gold that very night in Orlando. Vinny Bucci was in attendance here.
It was insane. The delete chants were rampant.
And they've been trying to delete the delete gimmick. There was some backstage banner that they would bring in the broken gimmick to the Hardy Boys, but apparently Vince isn't a big fan of that gimmick, so they're going to might put that on the back burner for the time being.
Well, that's one rumor that's gone around, but the real issue they have is the Hardys are currently involved in a lawsuit with Anthem Sports, which is one of the owners of TNA Impact Wrestling. And they're claiming that the broken universe, the broken gimmick, is a trademark that belongs to them. But the Hardys are like, no, we created this and brought it to you because I had the authority in which to do that. So they're basically threatening to sue if they do. They actually had a Ring of Honor pay-per-view pulled from Dish Network because the Broken Hardys did the broken gimmick there. So basically they have to settle this lawsuit with TNA before Vince will even consider doing it. And there's rumors that WWE is assisting the Hardys in trying to end the law into some kind of settlement or lawsuit that will allow it to happen.
Yeah, playing it safe, especially when it comes to money, which the WWE has plenty of.
Yes.
Definitely there. I don't see a reason why the Hardy Boys drop the belts this soon. Although I do really like this tandem of the Gore, better known as Sheamus and Cesaro. I think they're working really well together. Just an unfortunate time for all the tag teams on Raw because since the Hardys came back, they've taken quite the back seat.
Oh, absolutely. Enzo and Cass took a major back seat when they came out and they came back, and obviously they're going to push the Hardys to the moon because the day I see the Hardys losing the Raw tag belts is the day they send them to SmackDown.
Right.
And then I think they're going to win the tag belts there and be champs there for a while. So I don't see the Hardys losing the belts anytime soon.
Let's move it over to the ladies division as Bayley, the champion currently on Raw, takes on Little Miss Bliss.
This one, I'm really tossed up on this one.
Really?
This one's not easy because part of me wants to think Bayley, but also Alexa Bliss. I can tell they want to do something with her. I can sense that they're looking to put that Raw Women's Championship on her, but I think that Bayley's going to win, but Sasha's going to help.
It does make sense given what happened on Raw this past week, which, by the way, folks, we will get to in our on-demand version because right now this marks the end of the on-air version of the Male Soap Opera Moment. But, of course, there's going to be more. SoundCloud.com, also a free app in your phone's app store up in the search bar. WENZ World. Later.
See ya.
Football season right around the corner. We're in the offseason OTAs minicamp approaching. So I think it's applicable to talk about fantasy football right around the bend. With me on the phone is Dreamco Design's own Jay Correia. How you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing pretty good.
Jay Correia is founder and owner of Dreamco Design. They're a development company that designs, develops, and markets websites and apps for the fantasy football sports industry. I guess you could say fantasy football, kind of a big deal, right, Jay?
Yeah, it's huge, and it's beyond just fantasy football. It's fantasy sports in general. I mean, baseball and stuff, too. So we can't forget the other sports, even though football is the juggernaut.
True that. So apparently they're having congressional hearings on fantasy sports. When that comes to my mind, I think Uncle Sam's looking for a way to pinch the pockets of those who participate. Am I onto something there?
You are to a degree, and this is a bigger issue. This really is a government versus business issue, and fantasy football and fantasy sports just happens to be the plot here put into the spotlight. It really comes down to states looking to potentially capitalize on it. That's the big thing, not necessarily federally. So fantasy sports in general is currently under assault, you could say, in the United States. On the federal level, we have this law called UEJA, and it's really why FanDuel and DraftKings became as big as they have. There's basically a carve-out in a law that allows fantasy sports to operate and be considered games of skill and be played for money. Whereas on a state-specific level, gaming ends up coming down to what the states want to do with it. So you're seeing states put in place new laws and regulations for the industry. And fantasy sports has been around for a long time. People have been playing, fantasy football, fantasy baseball for decades. But FanDuel and DraftKings have really ramped up the industry and put it on the spotlight, especially on the money side. So that's what's attracted states to saying, hang on a second, what's going on here? We want our take, and you're pretty much spot on.
What are the states right now, as you know them, that are trying to kibosh FanDuel and DraftKings?
Sure. So the biggest misconception is that this is only about daily fantasy sports. People are like, I play some Yahoo season-long fantasy league. I don't need to worry about this legal stuff going on. That is not true. We're talking about the entire industry right now being at stake, and things are changing. In terms of the state-by-state level, there have always been a few states that have completely prohibited fantasy sports for money. Arizona, Washington State, to name a couple of the bigger ones. They feel that it may conflict with some of the tribal gaming that they have in the state. But for the most part, fantasy sports has been okay. It's been legal. You can play it for money, and there hasn't been an issue with it. And Nevada and New York were really the first two that started all of the stuff that people have seen in the media now as it relates to trying to stonewall the industry. And apparently, every state has a different definition of what the word gambling means. Some will say it's a complete chance, complete risk. Others will say, well, if it's just a little more chance than skill, or if there's any element of chance at all, it's gambling. So New York State's really what put it in the spotlight, and on a state-by-state basis right now, there is legislation unfolding across the country, with New York and Illinois being the two big ones that are in the spotlight right now.
All right, so can you see a possibility of overlap with the question of, is fantasy football gambling, or is fantasy football a game of skill?
Yeah, and that's been a big thing that we're trying to overcome as an industry. Fantasy sports is a game of skill. It takes skill to know who to pick and when to pick them based on salary cap and all these other things that happen when you're putting your team together. If you walk into a casino and pull the handle on a slot machine, it's totally random. You have no influence at all whatsoever on what's going to take place. With fantasy sports, you do have an impact on what's going to take place because your skill, knowledge, insight, predictions, all of those types of things are going to be put to use. So if you played some, kid off the street that didn't know much about football or something, you're obviously going to have a much better chance at beating him. It's because skill's involved. So the skill versus gambling thing has come up in different states. And again, this is an industry on the business side that's been explosive with growth. And, now we're looking at stonewalling it and potentially setting up maybe a duopoly or making it illegal for people to play fantasy sports, which is absolutely absurd.
Again, if you're just joining us, we're with author Jay Correia. He authored the book Daily Fantasy Sports. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, but most importantly, check out the website, www.bookdfs.com. He's a member of the Legislative Affairs Committee for the Fantasy Sports Trade Association. Now, you mentioned earlier the overlap between gambling and skill, and as you were speaking, I could only help but think about my first two draft picks last year, which were C.J. Anderson and Eddie Lacy, both of which underperformed dramatically. And just for the record, we don't play for money. But when you mention the fact that even something as simple as a non-monetary game such as Yahoo Fantasy Football could get shut down, how on earth can they possibly regulate that if there's no money to start a league on Yahoo? How could they, actually shut that down?
Sure. So Yahoo does have daily fantasy games now that do involve money, so they do have an interest in paid games as well. But on the advertising end, every state is unique in terms of what legislation they bring up. So right now in New York State, there are a pair of bills. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But one of the two bills discusses advertising revenue, and any revenue that's made in the state, or period, if it involves advertising, that you may be subject to these regulations. So it's a bit ambiguous, but that would read as, someone like Yahoo that offers free games that makes all of its money via ads for people that play because of all the eyeballs they have. They too are now going to be subject to these license fees and additional taxes and background checks and all these arduous things that are getting in the way of an industry provider that people have known for a long time and haven't had much of an issue with.
Now, do you really see Yahoo shutting it down even if it costs them a couple bucks a year?
No, I don't think Yahoo will. However, they are definitely fighting tooth and nail to make sure that those types of things don't happen. The big issue is we don't want to create a duopoly or perhaps maybe have just three companies where the government has gotten in the way of small business and innovation. There are a lot of things that the free market can take care of. It can give consumers more choices on where to play, how to play, different unique games. There's a lot of reasons why we want to keep this industry growing. But if the government gets in the way and says, hey, you know what? Well, we're going to have all these really burdensome regulations and extremely high fees, then they're going to set up a situation where only a couple of larger companies are able to participate. And that's not good for business, and it's not good for consumers either.
So where do you see the fantasy football game, say, 5 years from now?
I think you're going to see more stuff lean towards real-time fantasy sports. There's always a cat-mouse game when it comes to the way the government works with, businesses in the economy. So the government right now is having its turn on saying, this is what you need to do. They're either prohibiting it or they're setting it up where it's very regulatory and it's difficult to work with. So because of that, I think you're going to see businesses say, you know what, we're going to find ways to circumvent these things, have different ways to monetize our games that there's no laws applicable towards yet, and we're going to start doing things that are a bit more along the lines of real-time fantasy sports, where people are making predictions for every baseball at-bat, like real-time voting on Twitter that you see for political endeavors, or you're going to see people predicting each play during a football game where you're going to be connected to the action even faster. And to me, it seems like the next evolutionary type of a step, the same way we went from season-long to daily, we're going to have daily to maybe real-time. And it doesn't mean the other two are going to be replaced by any means. I just think you'll end up seeing all three.
So as we wrap things up here, what can fantasy football players do to help keep things legal?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, the big misconception is it's only about FanDuel and DraftKings, and nothing could be further from the truth. We're talking about the whole fantasy sports industry being jeopardized, either becoming outlawed or changing. And the states that are getting behind it and are saying that it's okay do have those burdensome regulations. And fees and stuff are going to be passed on to consumers. The first thing I would say is, get the book. There's a lot of information in there. And there's actually a whole chapter dedicated to what consumers can do to fight back. For an example, emailing legislators and whatnot. So there's a lot of information in there for it, but more or less it's just talking about it. That's where I always suggest everybody starts. Have a conversation. Tell your friends. Get on Facebook and say, hey, did you know that they're trying to ban fantasy football? Simple things like that brings awareness to the community of players out there. There are 57 million people in North America that play fantasy sports, and if people start talking about how this may be jeopardized, elected officials are not going to want to be on the wrong end of that equation.
We've been talking the business of fantasy football with author Jay Correia. He wrote the book Daily Fantasy Sports, available at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, and also on his website, www.bookdfs.com. Everybody, let's get involved here and get the conversation going. That way, fantasy football will be around for our kids and their kids. It's a lot of fun. And even if you don't play, as Jay mentioned, this is a situation where small businesses can be affected by the U.S. government. So let's put a stop to that before it gets too far down the road. Jay, thank you so much for your time, man. Much obliged.
Thanks for having me. And if you need anything else, just reach out.
Hey guys, it's Margaret Schwenke. I'm in Wens World, and I'm here to raise you to the best version of yourself. Do you have the energy that you want to have? Are you in the smoking hot body that you're proud to take into summer? I'm leading a 21-day challenge, and it's going to be amazing. We're focusing on nutrition, fitness, meal planning tips, and all of this is taking place in a fun online community. The members of my current challenge are killing it and experiencing amazing results in their body. Reach out to me for more information, as I'm always accepting new participants for my next challenge. Nourish@margaretschwenke.com. NOURISH@MARGARETSCHWENKE.com. Later.
Hey, y'all, this is your Southern Sister, Jenny Earhart, with the Southern Sisters Radio Show. I would love to connect with you on Facebook. Check us out at Southern Sisters with Jenny Earhart and online at southernsistershome.com. I'm in Wens World, and I love it.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Given today's economic climate, there's never been a better reason to get the word out about your business, brand, or organization. Hey, it's Joey Wensler of Wens World, host and creator of the show, and I'd love to connect with you. Reach out to me at Gmail, wensworldradio@gmail.com. You can also direct message me on Twitter at wensworldradio, WENZ World Radio. Advertising, my friend, is more affordable than you think. You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.